Somewhere in the far northeast of Bihar, on a clear winter morning, farmers look up from their fields and see snow. Not local snow, the white shoulder of Kanchenjunga, the third highest mountain on earth, floating on the horizon more than 120 kilometers away, in a district that has no hills of its own. This is Araria, a flat river-crossed corner of the Seemanchal, wedged so close to Nepal that one of its towns runs a customs post that never really closes. Mango orchards, jute fields, an endangered river dolphin, and a border gate to a whole other country. All packed into one modest Bihar district, most of India has never had a reason to name. By the end of this video, you will know exactly why it deserves one. Araria sits in the far northeast of Bihar, inside the Purnia division, in the region people call Seemanchal, literally the border tract. Nepal forms its entire northern edge. Kishanganj lies to the east, Supaul to the southwest, and Purnia district to the south. The district covers about 2,830 square kilometers and is home to roughly 28 lakh people according to the 2011 census. A population that grew by nearly 30% in just one decade, among the fastest growth rates anywhere in Bihar. This is Gangetic plain at its flattest. No hills, only rivers. The Kosi, the Parman, the Kali, the Koli, the Suwara, braiding across farmland that floods almost every monsoon and rebuilds it with fresh silt every winter. The nearest big city is Purnia town. The nearest airport, Bagdogra, sits across the state line in West Bengal. Araria became its own district only in January of 1990, carved out of the much larger Purnia district as Bihar reorganized its border regions. Its headquarters is Araria town itself, and the district is organized into blocks whose names map its geography. Phobesganj and Jogbani toward the Nepal border, Sikti, Jokihat and Kursakanta in the flood-prone north, Narpatganj, Raniganj, Palasi and Bhargama toward the interior. Phobesganj, the district's second largest town, still carries the name of Alexander Forbes, a 19th century British collector. A small colonial fingerprint on a landscape that otherwise belongs to Mithila and the Kosi basin, and has for centuries. Long before it was a district, this land was part of the ancient kingdom of Videha, one of the great political and cultural centers of early India alongside Kuru and Panchala. The Mithila heartland of Sanskrit learning and, by tradition, the birthplace of the Ramayana's Sita. Centuries later, colonial administration arrived with the East India Company, leaving names like Phobesganj stamped onto the map. But Araria's most vivid history is more recent, and it belongs to trade rather than conquest. As commerce with Nepal grew through the 20th century, the border town of Jogbani rose up almost from nothing, pulling merchant families away from older established Phobesganj and turning a quiet river crossing into eastern Nepal's single busiest overland gateway. This is still overwhelmingly farming country. Paddy, maize and jute are the district's backbone crops, grown in the rich silt the Kosi and its sister rivers leave behind after every flood season. Mango and lychee orchards dot the Seemanchal countryside, and the same rivers that threaten farmland every July support fishing communities for the rest of the year. But Araria's real economic outlier is Jogbani, the integrated checkpost on the Nepal border, open around the clock for pedestrians and through much of the day for vehicles, where trucks queue to move raw materials and finished goods between India and the industrial Nepali city of Biratnagar, just across the line. For a district that is overwhelmingly agricultural, it is an unusually international front door. Araria sits inside the wider Mithila cultural region, in the specific Kosi-Seemanchal belt. So Maithili shares the streets with Hindi, Urdu, and the local Surjapuri dialect. Seemanchal as a whole has one of Bihar's largest Muslim populations, and the district's festival calendar reflects that mix. Chhat's dawn and dusk prayers on the riverbanks alongside Eid and Muharram observances in Araria and Ganj towns. On the plate, expect river fish curries, mustard green saag, and the same litti chokha that defines Bihar everywhere else. Though here it is just as likely to be eaten within sight of the Nepal border as anywhere deeper inside the state. The name most linked to this district is Phanishwar Nath Renu. Born in Simra Bakharpur village near Ganj, he became one of the towering figures of modern Hindi literature. And his novel, Maila Anchal, remains the defining portrait of this Kosi region countryside, its floods and its people. Muhammad Taslimuddin, a former union minister, represented Araria in parliament across several decades and remains its best-known political figure. And Sahara Group Subrata Roy, one of independent India's most talked-about businessmen, is counted among the district's notable names. Most visitors come here for what the rivers carry, not what's built on land. The Kosi and its tributaries are home to the Gangetic river dolphin, one of the world's most endangered freshwater mammals. A genuine wildlife sighting in the middle of farm country, not a wildlife park. About 30 kilometers from the district headquarters, Raniganj Vriksh Vatika spreads across nearly 290 acres of protected forest. Closer in, just 10 kilometers from Araria town, Kusiargaon holds Bihar's very first biodiversity park, drawing researchers as often as tourists. And on the clearest winter mornings, all of it sits beneath that same distant white shoulder of Kanchenjunga, a mountain most people never expect to see from a Bihar farm road. A border gate to Nepal, a poet's fictional countryside, an endangered dolphin in a flood river, and a mountain on the horizon that technically isn't even in India. That's Araria. Comment your district below. We'll cover it next.